Joe Paco. I see Mr. Granum.
Present.
Stanley Greenberg is going to be absent this evening. I am here. All right, so if you just allow one more, I think we have a couple of members that we're just waiting right now, and we'll be able to start. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. All right, I see someone in attendance with phone number ending in 4090. Can you identify yourself? Yeah, again, so if you're joining us on a phone with a phone number ending in 4090, can you identify yourself? Let's see.
You have to press *6 to unmute yourself.
All right, I am just stalling. I believe we are short 1 for quorum, so I'm just trying to confirm if that's actually a member of the committee. I'm trying to tell, is that Ms. Fleming's number?
I'm checking right now.
Sure, thank you. Okay, I'm not sure, but I definitely don't, I don't want to delay this any further in terms of I want to make sure that we're able to call the meeting to order and begin the business. I want to thank everyone for your patience. Khaled, I think we're recording now, correct?
Yes, we are.
Okay, so we are now calling the meeting to order. The time is now 7:11 p.m. I want to welcome everyone to the first Transportation Committee meeting for Community Board 9 for the year 2023. I hope everyone is having a happy and blessed new year. It's phenomenal to see everyone here, and I'm looking forward to even more coming from the committee and a lot of work being done by Community Board 9. So we do have a number of items we wanted to cover on the agenda for this evening. We would normally approve the minutes, but as I'm not certain as to the, if we have quorum right now, we're going to move ahead. Actually, just in the interest of time, well, actually, let me ask this. Going on to item 3, do we have someone representing Union Limo and Car Service? Khaled, do we have anybody representing Union Limo and Car Services this evening?
No, I don't see them in in the group right now.
Okay, that's fine. So we'll skip that for now. Yeah, we will skip 4 now, and we will go on to the next. We'll go to item 4, which will be the street code naming request. So, Community Board 9, we've received a request for a co-naming of Utica Avenue from Eastern Parkway to Clarkson Avenue to Guyana Avenue. So the application has been received. I believe some of the materials have been forwarded to the Transportation Committee members. At this time, do we have representatives, for the applicants for this petition?
Yes, you do.
Okay. All right. So, Mr. Arjun, at this time, you are recognized. Please tell us a little bit about your application and any other pertinent information for the Transportation Committee.
Okay, good evening, one and all. Thanks for having us. Wish you and your families a happy and prosperous 2023. We are here. My name is Derek Harjuma. I'm a member of this co-naming committee. And we're seeking to get your support for the co-naming of Utica Avenue from Avenue H to Eastern Parkway to Guyana Avenue. And why do we want to do that? It's in recognition of the achievements of the Guyanese communities, in Brooklyn, as well as the love of the Guyanese community for Brooklyn. Now, there are many reasons that we're asking for you to agree with this initiative. Some of these achievements revolve around political figures, significant political figures in Brooklyn. The first one that comes to mind is Shirley Chisholm, the great, incomparable Congresswoman who achieved many firsts in the history of the United States. I would not detail all of those firsts, except to point out that she was the first Black woman elected to the U.S. Congress and held many important positions and sponsored about 50 bills. And then there was Wesley McDonald Holder, who earned the name of Dean of Brooklyn Politics. Mr. Holder did a phenomenal job in pushing for various projects in the Brooklyn community. And it was said when he was alive, almost nothing was done in Brooklyn without his input. And when we come down to today, we have Senator Roxanne Prasad, who is doing an extremely good job representing her constituents. And then you also have Assemblywoman Alicia Hindman. So those are some of the political persons and in a rather bare way achievements. My colleague will go into more achievements with regard to the social and economic, but I also want to let you know that the Guyanese community has been involved in educational institutions too in Brooklyn. You might know about Get Set Daycare. At one time, there were 4 or 5 of them in Brooklyn. They provided education to many young people in the Brooklyn community. At one time, there were at least 4 providing kindergarten education to our Brooklyn children. And that started, I believe, in about 1982 and went on for about 10, 15 years. At present, we do have a few institutions providing education to our Brooklyn youths. The one that comes to mind immediately is the one on Linden Boulevard. That name escapes me. I'll remember it before I'm finished. But we have been involved in educating children. God's Battalion on Linden Boulevard, a rather successful and dynamic educational institution. We not only teach the children academic skills, but we teach them how to be responsible and decent citizens. And then I must mention to you the many Guyanese businesses in and around Brooklyn, the central Brooklyn, some on Utica Avenue. These businesses provide money to the community. They shore up the tax base of central Brooklyn, and they provide much needed jobs to individuals who in turn support families. This is a phenomenon that has been going on for a long time. And there are several businesses, Sybil's, Thieves and Pam's. There's that juice store on Utica Avenue. There's an electrical store on Utica Avenue that is doing extremely well. So we have persons also involved in the business community who are doing much in Brooklyn, and importantly, adding to the tax base so that we have businesses, institutions like banks, which can draw from the community and continue to support activities within the community. So we are asking you to support this initiative because we want to recognize our community. And I want to add this, let it be understood that we want to recognize the Guyanese community for what it's done. But we're not opposed to recognizing any other community who might select another location. We selected Utica Avenue because so many of our people are there and so many of our people are doing it. And I want to emphasize, so many of them love and enjoy Brooklyn. So we're looking for your support. I thank you for allowing me to say what I have to say, and I'll turn it over to my colleague, James Richmond. Thanks again.
Thank you, Mr. Arjun. Okay, Mr. Richmond, you have the floor.
Thank you, Attorney Derek Arjun, members of the Transportation Committee, all protocol observed. Firstly, let me state that the country of Guyana serves as a unifying force for the Caribbean integration. It is the headquarters of CARICOM, which embodies and emphasizes economic, social, and cultural prosperity for our Caribbean people as a whole. As the nation of Guyana serves as the headquarters of CARICOM to foster unity and prosperity amongst its member states of the Caribbean region, similarly, this co-naming will lend visibility and unity, thereby channeling our collective power, bringing prosperity to our entire Caribbean diaspora and all other ethnic people of Brooklyn. It is my hope that very soon, as we take a walk down Utica Avenue from Eastern Parkway to Avenue H, we will find the consulate offices of all our Caribbean countries occupying office spaces there. And that will also help with the economic power that we have, that strengthen it more, where we can go and conduct our consular businesses right there in our neck of the woods instead of going into Manhattan. The co-naming of Utica Avenue to Guyana Avenue will bring economic empowerment in our communities here in Brooklyn, because lots of people will flock to this area when they recognize that we ourselves are making an effort to show how valuable it is to us. The Guyanese community has contributed tremendously to the economic, social, and cultural and religious tapestry or fabric of Brooklyn, and most certainly in and around Utica Avenue. Guyanese love of the area is evidenced by the churches and numerous homes they have established and purchased. In so doing, they have helped in strengthening a greater community for all in our central Brooklyn area. The result is that several active block associations and service organizations, such as the Lions Clubs, are populated by Guyanese, which serves to strengthen the civic engagement and security for all of us. The Guyanese community have established several houses of worship. A few examples are the God's Battalion of Prayer, Restoration Temple Assemblies of God, Full Gospel Assemblies Church, with St. Gabriel's Episcopal Church having a large, vibrant, and vital Guyanese contingent in its congregation. And I dare say that in all of the churches around Brooklyn and central Brooklyn in particular, if you go there, you will find Guyanese making great contribution to those congregations. Many Guyanese and their descendants are active in the social, religious, and political affairs of Brooklyn, and it is quite fitting to support the co-naming of Utica Avenue. It will be a real honor for this community to support it and forward it to the entire body so that it could be voted. The culture of Guyana has made its way into the rich cultural scenery of our community at large here, joining with the Caribbean, the Labor Day festivities, and this bringing out the rich culture of the Caribbean. And as I must repeat that Guyana being the country that hosts our Caribbean community, the headquarters, this will make us really look great as a Caribbean people, knowing that what we're thinking about is unity first, unity. Now, the culture of Guyana has made its way into the rich cultural scenery internationally, with several of our talented singers like Deborah Cox, the multi-talented singer and songwriter, Rihanna, whose grandmother and mother are of Guyanese birth, right? So I want us to recognize the contributions that we have made as Guyanese. We have CCH Ponder, who have done a lot of great movies as well. And recently we have Letitia Wright, who plays leading roles in the Marvel blockbuster Black Panther and its sequel Black Panther Wakanda Forever. These are just examples of Guyanese who have done tremendous stuff to move our community forward in the diaspora. In the media, we have the dynamic and erudite Joy Reid, who continues to be one of the most watched television personalities with her probing and informative style of journalism. We have Shirley Alika, who is a proficient and well-respected journalist reporting for the ABC network. Many Guyanese are doctors, lawyers, nurses, teachers. I'm sure you know many Guyanese, your neighbors. I'm sure each of you can identify with Guyanese when you look around who are doing very good things on your block. So we are asking that you support this initiative and really vote to move this thing forward. We have several organizations, several of them. I want to thank you very much and look forward to working with you in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Richmond. Do you have anyone else who's speaking on with respect to the application?
No, we do not have anyone else at this moment. Thank you so much.
Okay, if you could hold on hearing. Okay, so what we'll do at this time is I will open it up to Transportation Committee members. Are there any members who have any questions for the applicants? All right, Paco, I see you. You recognized?
Yes. So I'm just curious about the request, the borders that you're asking about. Like, I have no doubt, again, it'd be a very fitting tribute for the population and all the, to celebrate the heritage, but it's a 3-mile stretch from Eastern Parkway to Avenue H. So I'm curious if there's precedent for that long a stretch of other co-namings like that. It's also mostly outside of CB9. So I'm Fred, question to you, are we even allowed to vote for something that's not in our community board? But yeah, if you can expand first, I guess, on why that large stretch, because it seems to me, I'm not familiar with the entire stretch, but some of it feels appropriate. Some of it I'm just like, oh, there's just a gas station there on the corner. I don't know what the backstory would be, to the culture there.
Mr. Baptiste, would you like me to answer?
Absolutely, Ms. Frazier, please.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Cherie Frazier. I'm also a part of the co-naming committee. So the co-naming encompasses 3 community boards. Community Board 17 has already voted, Community Board 9, and then each board will be voting on their area that they cover. So the committee is actually here this evening requesting support from Community Board 9 in the area that Board 9 board covers. We do also have to go to have a meeting with CB 18, which would be the last board. Once this request goes before your full board, I'm assuming, after that, we move to CB 18. So yes, I understand your concern. We also did reach out to our elected officials who actually will be taking this vote to the city council to inform them, what we're requesting. So I hope that answers your question.
Right.
Yeah,
And to that,
I think,
and to part of that, yeah, and to part of that as well. So, and Ms. Frazier was correct where, so we're going to be voting on that portion of Utica that is within our borders, which would be from Eastern Parkway going to a whereabouts Clarkson or something like that. Is that,
Yeah.
That's accurate? So, and it's not necessarily unprecedented. I believe we have a portion of, actually this board supported it as well, where a portion, I believe, of Rogers Avenue is actually named after Jean-Jacques Dessalines.
Right.
So, and there are different streets in Brooklyn as well that have done that, where various stretches are named for either historical figures or cultural. So not totally unprecedented. It is not unprecedented in terms of street co-namings.
That's helpful. Thank you.
Yeah, I do have a question actually, Sharif. So with respect to the council members, because they'll have to bring that to city council, have you already secured support from any of the council members who in whose districts they fall? It falls?
Usually we do not request support from the council member until the boards vote. Then we submit the letters to the city council members. So we have Rita Joseph, Darlene Mealy, and Farah Lewis. I did reach out to all 3 offices before even presenting this to the community boards to let them know exactly what we were considering at that time. And I received verbal support again, but the official support comes after. Councilmember Lewis assured me that she's ready and willing and waiting to take this to the city council. Rita Joseph office also, and Darlene Mealy's office.
Okay.
So
does Crystal Hudson touch a piece of that though, in that north?
Say that
Eastern
again?
corner? Does Crystal Hudson touch a piece of that on the northeastern corner?
I believe she covers mostly of your area. So what I did, I reached out to the members that support our areas.
Understood.
And then right, because after the approval by the board, we usually send our letter to the council member.
Okay, fair enough. Thank you for that. And my apologies to the committee. Are there any other members who have questions?
I have a question.
Yes, please go ahead.
Will this remove the names that are already there? As I heard, there are names that are there already will we be able to add, if we have a decision to, on this, to their request without removing the others? Good.
It's a co-naming. It's not a renaming.
Okay.
Right. No, but to
May I
Ms.
answer-
Robertson's
may I answer
question.
my question?
Well,
Mhm.
Yeah,
also
it's a
Ms. Robertson's
co-naming.
question, there's a couple of places, I know there might be a couple of corners, like I think we just recently did
On
a
Eastern
corner of
Parkway?
Utica at Eastern Parkway, yeah.
Yeah, that's going in another direction. That's not in the direction that we're requesting.
Okay, so have you
Yeah.
already confirmed, are there any conflicts or it's good to go?
No,
so
that
far?
will not, it will not be a conflict because the co-naming was actually on Eastern Parkway and not on Utica Avenue.
Understood. Okay, for some reason, is it Nostrand or is it Utica? Was there any previous renaming done on Utica though?
Utica and where?
That I'm not sure. I thought some stretch of Utica was renamed for somebody.
Not to my knowledge.
Okay. No, that's fair then. And I'm sure the city council will review that as well along with DOT. So that's fine.
Absolutely.
Okay. And my apologies again. Are there any other members who have questions for the applicant? Okay, hearing none. Let me do this one piece of business first. Let's go back. So I'm just going to call the roll. Just please call your name, confirm that you're here. Stuart Balberg. Yakov Pearson. Ted Pilcotti. Ted, are you still there?
Yep.
Okay, thank you. Felice Robertson.
Present.
Dave Abraham.
Present.
Calista De Jesus.
Here.
Valerie Fleming. Jeffrey Granum.
Present.
Mr. Greenberg is absent this evening. And myself. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, we have 6 members present. We have a quorum. Okay, so with that established, so we've heard from the applicant. They've also provided some additional information, which is forwarded to the members, including petitions from resident community residents that would to make sure those residents actually reside in the district. So that's been forwarded and confirmed by the district office. They also forwarded some documentation in terms of letters of support from Congress members Jeffries and Clark. I also saw a letter from State Senators Prasad and Parker. I also saw a letter from Assembly Member Waterman, yes, Assemblymember Waterman. She needs to forgive me for that. And again, I think they've also said that this is also being considered by CD17 as well. All right, at this time, do I have a motion for the Transportation Committee to recommend to the board to approve the application for the co-naming?
I make a motion to recommend approval for the co-naming.
All right, I see that from Member Granum. Do I have a second?
I second it, Felice Robertson.
Felice Robertson seconds. Okay, it's been moved and properly seconded. Is there any unreadiness? Any questions? Okay, hearing none, we are going to call the question. All those members of the Transportation Committee in favor of the motion, please say aye.
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 Aye. Are there any members of the Transportation Committee in opposition? Please state your name for the record. Call again. Are there any members of the committee in opposition? Please state your name for the record. We're going to record there are no votes. Are there any members of the committee who wish to abstain from the motion? Please state your name for the record. I call for a second time. Are there any members of the committee who wish to abstain from the vote? Please state your name for the record. Hearing none, the record will reflect that the motion was adopted by the Transportation Committee, unanimous consent. Okay, so to the applicants, thank you very much for coming and telling us a little bit about your application this evening. The Transportation Committee will forward this to the full board, which is scheduled to meet, and get me the line, hold on one second, on, I believe it's the 24th. Khalid, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, yes. So the committee will be meeting on, the full board will be meeting on the 24th. We would ask if you'd be able to come and just give brief comments with respect to your application. It'll be considered and forwarded by the executive committee next week. Okay, so with that, thank you very much for coming and presenting this evening, and we will see you shortly.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, and may I say to the committee, our heartfelt thanks for your approval, and we look forward to meeting and talking with you whenever you say we should meet with you in person. Thanks again, and the best to you and your families.
Thank you very much again. Absolutely. Have a great evening, and the district office will be in contact and we'll give you all the details for the meeting.
Great.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Good night.
Okay, we're going to go back a little bit. Khalid, is there any representative for the Union Limo and Car Service?
Yes, I'm on the Zoom, please, sir.
Okay, thank you very much, sir.
Thank
All right.
you.
Okay. All right. The only question I do have is, have you submitted all the documentation to the district office?
No, because I thought today when I come to the meeting, I will give you everything. In the meeting, I thought that the meeting will be on Nostrand Avenue. I never thought it's going to be on Zoom. I don't realize that. But I have all the documents I can bring tomorrow morning to the place.
Okay, the only question, the only issue that I see we might have is that there are certain materials we would want to have about the base, just because we want to be able to confirm in terms of, the history, if there are any TLC issues, if there, how many cars, and just things that we would want documentation on
Yeah,
with
I
respect to the base.
have all the information. I can give you right now all the information you need, and I can submit all the paperwork tomorrow morning to you guys.
Okay. All right, sir. I'll leave this to the committee. Is the committee prepared to hear this and give a provisional recommendation, or you want the information first? Paco, I hear you. I see you.
I don't even need to hear anything. I would just vote no, because I feel like being on Zoom while driving is so irresponsibly dangerous that I feel like that's speaking, for me, that's speaking quite some volumes of the safety record. Like,
I was in few minutes in Nostrand Avenue. I was coming to the base.
you're
there.
still driving while on the phone. I'm
Yeah,
Okay. All right.
I know.
Fair enough. Okay, but here's the thing. I don't want to necessarily consider, the application of the business based on that solely. I would rather that the committee, my personal opinion is I would rather that the committee actually consider their application in total in terms of what their history is, if there's any violations, if there's any questions that we have, and we would vote up or down based on that. Sir, so the only thing is I would have want to suggest, I don't think we're really in a position right now, because there's certain information we would want to have in front of us. I don't think it's appropriate for the committee to vote on something where there's definitely information they haven't seen, even on a provisional basis. So here's what I'll do is, so I'll speak with the district office. We will touch base with you. When is your application due? When are you supposed to submit?
The due date is really April 30th, but I need to give to the TLC all the paperwork at least like 2 months before.
Okay, so with that being said, what we can do is I'll work with the district office. We'll coordinate all the information we need from you, and we can make sure that we have you scheduled for scheduled appropriately. We'll have all the information to the committee, and we'll be able to see you in the February meeting.
I understand. If it's okay with you, can I bring all the paperwork tomorrow to your office there?
Absolutely. No, still bring the paperwork. No, absolutely. Still bring it. It's fine to bring it tomorrow, but I just want to make sure that the information is in front of the committee. And even if we have any questions, so we could always ask you in advance, so that way, we don't say, well, you're missing this, and we have to delay the process anymore. So if you bring whatever you have, and we can work through the district office to make sure all that is, before the board and the committee has it to consider it.
I understand.
Okay, and then we'll be able to schedule you for next month's meeting.
And when do you think it will be next month?
Right. So what would happen is you'd come back for the February Transportation Committee meeting. The district office can give you that date, and then we would potentially vote on it as a board at that February meeting. So you'd have it close to the end of February.
I understand. Okay,
Okay. All right, sir. All right. Thank you very much. And we'll make sure. So we'll be looking for you next month, and just communicate with the office. They'll get back to you. They'll take care of it.
thank you very much, sir.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Committee updates. There were a couple of items. Actually, let me ask this. Khalid, is there any representative from DOT with us this evening?
No, I don't see them in the chat.
Okay. All right. The intent was to try and get a representative from DOT, because I know we had a number of items that we were actually looking at discussing from last month's meeting. Oh, well, actually, let's do this first. I'm sorry. I apologize. We're skipping around a little bit just because I was trying to make sure we got people, but also make sure that we were able to, move the agenda. At this time, part of the packet that was sent out was the minutes for last month's meeting. It was, have all the committee members been able to review? Okay.
Yes.
Are there any corrections that need to be made to the minutes?
What is a neck down?
A neck down?
Yeah,
A neck down is an extension of the sidewalk. What it does is it kind of closes up the crosswalk. So it makes the crosswalk shorter.
well, I certainly wouldn't want that. It doesn't stop them from speeding into you.
Actually, Lise, we spoke about this last month, and I wanted it, I tried to express my opinion that I respectfully disagree, both as a pedestrian, but particularly as a motorist. I believe neck downs are one of the most effective tools in the DOT toolbox. It is impossible for a person to speed around a corner with a neck down, particularly if it's a permanent neck down. If it's one that's just painted with the plastic stanchions, yeah, they can drive over those stanchions. But if it's the type that was installed, as I said last month, at the corner of Ocean and Flatbush, it requires a person to navigate a 90-degree turn, which is impossible to do at speed. On Ocean Avenue and Flatbush Avenue, before they put that neck down there, you could be headed south on Flatbush and make a right onto Ocean at 30 miles an hour, 40 miles an hour. Once they put that neck down there, and people don't realize it's a neck down because it's cemented, it's permanent. But theoretically, that is a large neck down. And every place that they put them causes for traffic to slow exponentially to navigate the turn. And it reduces the distance that pedestrians are in the street at a cost of one parking space usually. So I just want to repeat that I disagree that neck downs are ineffective. I believe they're highly effective.
Okay. All right. At this
Don't
time,
you work for DOT?
well, hold on. I'm sorry?
I believe it works for DOT. Don't you work for DOT, no? Jeffrey?
Oh, I'm sorry. You were asking me if I work for DOT?
Yes.
No,
Correct.
I don't.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So, but at this time, I just want to make sure, just so we can, finish this piece of the business. So, is there any changes that need to be made to the minutes from last month? Okay. Hearing no changes, so the minutes will stand as adopted by common consensus. I hear no objections. Okay. Wanted to make sure we just took care of that very quickly. So now let me go back. Committee updates, part of what I was hoping to have this evening. We had requested for DOT to come this evening to actually address a number of the outstanding items we had. So the district office, they have compiled a list of speed humps and applications, speed cameras, and basically a number of the transportation related requests that we've made to DOT. Per the conversation we had last month, we wanted to do a new approach where, as opposed to saying, okay, no to a speed hump, and that's the end of the question, we want for DOT to be able to speak to each of these areas of traffic concern or transportation concern and make those recommendations in terms of what are they going to do with respect to correcting the situation to make, to improve safety. So that was compiled. I believe that was shared with DOT. We're expecting a representative to come here and speak on that list. Additionally, we had asked for them to come and speak with respect to what we would need to do to begin a bicycle lane study for the district. And the last piece that we had asked them to do also was to come and discuss City Bike. And just for information purposes for the committee. So City Bike or Lyft, they are actually beginning deployments in the district. So originally when they came, they had done the northwestern side of the district. They are actually starting to move east and south as well. So they've identified a number of different areas where they're going to put those. So we made an initial inquiry, and apparently what they're doing is they're reaching out directly to the property owners and informing them of where they're going. So this is still something we're trying to get DOT to come in and talk to us directly, because I think that's still problematic in terms of they need to let us know, because all we're going to do is end up fielding a whole lot of complaints when all of a sudden these things end up in places where they probably shouldn't be. So again, my apologies. We were hoping they were supposed to have actually come this evening. I believe that they had confirmed, but we will make sure we put them on the calendar and they make sure that they do come for next month. Yeah, so unfortunately, I wish I had more substantive committee updates for that, but that is something that is currently in the works and we will be addressing in the agenda next month. But I will entertain any questions if anyone has any for as of right now.
So I would just ask, what can we do differently then? Because we've had the same update of DOT should be coming for like just endlessly, and like, I'm sure the district office is reaching out, but like, I don't even know if they've come to anything in this last year, like since the board started in the fall. And like, I mean, the next meeting is February. We only have done, what, 4 more meetings in this calendar year? Like, we've still done nothing.
No, understood. And I definitely understand the frustration. Actually, just to share this conversation as well, this is something that, as board chair, putting on another hat, we've actually had this conversation with Borough Hall as well. Apparently, we're not the only ones DOT likes to stiff. But the one conversation we did have, and that's promising as well, is that Borough Hall is looking at assisting us in terms of saying, no, you need to respond to these things. So I stand with some level of confidence saying, no, they will be here next month and they need to be prepared to address these things. Per the city charter, when we ask them to show up and send representatives, they are supposed to send a representative. So as far as we're concerned, they're out of violation. They're in violation right at this point. Well, one, they're in violation, and 2, is disrespectful to the board and to the committee. So we are going to make sure we make that push to make sure that somebody's here to represent for next month. Sidebar, I will make sure we confirm within the committee in terms of, when we make the communication and when we get a response in terms of who's coming.
And when they come, like, I know the district office has been compiling a list of outstanding requests, but like, can they come prepared? Because I don't know if we could be privy to this list that the district office has. I know I've been sending stuff to Dante like every other day. Some of these requests are like years old already.
Absolutely.
Like the few times I can remember DOT has been here, we've given them, hey, there's this thing, here's the service request number or the DOT work number, and they just regurgitate anything I can look up online, that it's completely worthless for them to come and just, be a 311 operator. Like, if they're going to be here, they need to speak to us. And if not, I feel like we should be much more forceful, go above their head. Like we should have an op-ed in the paper about how terrible they are. Something like this is
duly noted. And
it's only
absolutely
the 11th of January. A lot of people have been injured by vehicles and killed on the streets. And like DOT is accountable for a large part of that. And I think we're accountable too by us just saying, hey, we're still not really doing anything. So I'm just very frustrated.
No, I'll make sure I'll talk to Dante in the district office. We'll ask him to make sure he sends that request by email, make sure he CCs the borough president's office, and make sure he CCs all of our all our council members as well. unfortunately, sometimes you got to shame them before they'll actually do something. So we'll make sure that they, hopefully we're putting some political pressure on that as well in terms of they need to do it. It's
Is
way
it
past.
possible? Is it
I'm sorry, go ahead,
possible for the committee members to be CC'd on those types of communications?
Yeah, I'll do that. I'll talk to Dante about that as well.
All right.
I'll talk to him. We'll make sure that communication goes out. Okay.
Can we also get Keith Bray to come? Perhaps that would be a better solution to get the answers that we're looking for our list of concerns.
Absolutely. Well, yes, definitely. I mean, and at this point, I think just because to the point where it's like, it's been so disrespectful for so long. You're right. They shouldn't have the liaison come. No, I think Commissioner Bray should come and address some of these things. I agree with you. So we'll make sure that's part of the request as well.
Right. In the least, we should at least ask for him. Right. And if he doesn't show up, or if he sends a deputy commissioner, I think that's a step in the right direction. Somebody further up the food chain than the folks who they've been sending.
Agreed. Absolutely. Okay. Oh, one update I forgot to add as well. So we are in the process of actually trying to organizing towards the end of February a town hall, a transportation town hall. So the town hall is, the initial impetus for that was to address the B41 project. So what we wanted to do is be able to have a large district level event where we could actually have everyone come in and give their perspectives in terms of what they're looking for to come out of the B41 project. That agenda is actually being altered a little bit in terms of it might expand to include, as Brooklyn is in the process of doing its the bus redesign. So we feel that this is probably the opportunity for us to get that kind of feedback from the district in terms of that. Colin, do you know what date we've scheduled for? If I can get to my calendar, hold on. I've spoken with the district office, spoken to Dante, so
Yeah,
hopefully
I'm checking right now for
thank you very much.
something.
The 31st is in my head for some reason.
It's the 30th.
Like I said, the 30th is in my head. So, so we're looking at scheduling that for the 30th. So we are.
Yeah, but there's no 30th of February.
No, January.
Oh, okay.
January. My apologies. So yeah, so those details should be coming out. So the scope of it is changing slightly. It might be expanded a little bit, but the idea being we need to bring people in and we need to really get the community to weigh in on some, at least those two topics. I want to be careful. I wanted to make it a larger transportation summit, but I want to make sure, because we have so many issues, I don't want to necessarily I don't want us to get drowned in like 17 different projects. At least if we concentrate on these two first, get that input, so as a committee and as a board, we can work on those, and then we can schedule subsequent events as necessary as well.
I have a question and a comment. So this is going to be, there's going to be two different events. One is going to be a transportation forum, right? And then the second event is going to be focused on the B41 bus lane on Flatbush.
The B41 bus lane, potentially we might talk about the Brooklyn bus network redesign.
Okay, because if we're going to do something that requires community input, like for the bus lane, for example, it would be good to, I don't know if what the format is going to be, but is it going to be a facilitator type of format where we have break off groups, and then people can suggest in breakout rooms on Zoom?
Yeah, I think that's what we're looking for. So we're still finalizing some of the details with that, but that's a little bit what we're anticipating. There will at least be an initial presentation. So we want DOT to take a little bit of time in terms of discussing this in a public forum in the district. As I think a few of the activities have happened in different places. And as I say that, the bus network redesign may get split out, because I believe they're going to do a district by district conversation. So that was something we had contemplated. If they're going to do that, maybe we hold off and make it strictly B41. Yeah, but as we do that, but I think your points are well taken. Yes, allow the opportunity for people to come, breakout groups as well, so that way we can really get in there and people have an opportunity to discuss their, the issues, and we can kind of, game plan this how we want to address.
And just out of curiosity, what is the intention behind the general transportation forum? Are we inviting different people from, you know, various organizations like DOT, well, government agencies like DOT, and then inviting, you know, I don't know, some of these organizations that have come to speak with us in the past, like Riders Alliance, or I think there's a local Flatbush group, and then there's also like City Bike, or all of these type of, is this just something to share information, or is this going to be more district specific where people can, you know, point out what concerns they have? Because I think that's something that would be really, really useful to have that also as a setup where people can, where there can be a facilitator and we have breakout rooms. And then maybe we can have maps of the district where people can identify areas that could use transportation improvements.
Right. So I want to break it up a little bit in terms of, because I think the focus is probably going to shift back towards the B41, but I definitely think the vision was everybody's coming to this. So we want residents there. We want organizations. So we want transportation alternatives. We want City Bike there. We want DOT there. The elected officials as well. We want the representatives there, but we want the people. We want the people in the district to come and talk about the impacts. We want merchants who live, who are right on there. We want people who live on Flatbush to talk about the impacts of parking. We want people to talk about traffic on that corridor. So yeah, everybody, we're looking at. So, but I think that some of the points you've made are well taken. So, I think we're still a little bit fluid in terms of locking down the format, but I think that's something that we'll work out with the district office in terms of making sure that's done. That we consider those things. And looking at the expertise we have here, a few of you may get tapped to act as facilitators. So just to keep your calendars open for that day.
What was the date again, Fred?
January 30th. I'm going to talk to Dante and make sure we lock that out. So if you haven't heard of it yet, you will be hearing about it by the end of the week. Okay. Are there any questions with respect to that?
Can I make another suggestion?
Absolutely.
In case, so for the General Transportation Forum, years ago, a group of us neighbors, when we were advocating to figure out what changes we wanted for the infrastructure in the neighborhood, we held a forum, and it was in person at the time. And the way that we broke it down was we had different tables. And of course, if this is virtual, it would probably be breakout rooms. But basically, we had each breakout or each table focus on a major arterial in the district. So for example, we had a Nostrand Avenue table, a Flatbush Avenue table, Bedford Avenue, et cetera, like Ocean, Parkside. And then people would just move from table to table, and they would, I know this is not going to be possible digitally, but they would write down or draw on the map what areas of concern they have along that stretch. So then that way it's an easy visual to have people participate, because then they can share if there's a certain dangerous intersection, or this might need a neck down, or maybe this lane, this side street, this cross street here needs a bike lane, what have you. And that might be a good useful format to break the district up into major throughways and have people leave their suggestions and concerns.
No, these are all excellent points. Cal, can I ask, can we talk offline after this? Because I think this is a lot of good stuff that I think that I would definitely want to make sure that we present to Dante as well as we're planning this out. Because I think there's some of these things, if we can at least incorporate those electronically to the best we can, I think it really improves the event.
Sure.
Okay, so I'll reach out to you separately, and let's talk about that, and we'll get Dante on the line as well. Okay, thank you very much for those. Okay, any other questions with respect to the committee updates? Yes, Paco.
I have a question to follow up on something we discussed a couple of months ago now, but we were going to send a letter to, I think it was DOT and DDC, about the project that's soon wrapping up at Washington, Flatbush, and Lincoln, where they've they've poured fresh concrete and it's one of their highway projects, but we were sending a letter, we had voted to send a letter to both those agencies asking that they put in some sort of physical barriers to prevent the illegal parking that always creeps down from the gas station. What was that letter ever sent, or was it replied to, or whatever?
I do not believe that there was a letter sent. I know the conversation I had with Dante is that we intended to meet personally or virtually with DDC to discuss that, to make sure that that was put forward. And I'll take the bust on that one. I think that one fell apart a little bit because of the holidays and everything. Let me touch base with Dante to see about, actually, you know, we should just craft that letter at this point, as well as making sure that we schedule that meeting so we can discuss that as well and what they're going to do. So I will talk with Dante and we'll send a follow to the committee.
Well, maybe it's a good thing that the letter didn't go because I have been observing what's going on at that corner since the majority of the work is now finished, where the construction equipment is almost cleared away. And they pretty much have returned the intersection to unrestricted use as it's going to be going forward. On multiple occasions now, what I've noticed is that cars that are headed east on Lincoln, where you are now supposed to make a left on Flatbush, in essence, head north if your intended goal was to go up Washington, right? What they did is there's now a do not enter sign at the mouth of Lincoln and Flatbush.
Okay.
Now that all the construction vehicles are gone, people are using that the same way they used to before. I've observed multiple cars drive straight from Lincoln into Washington, right past the do not enter sign. Now, my suggestion is that they only have one do not enter sign, which is on the right side when you're facing east on Lincoln Road. They may need to put another one on the left side. And part of the reason why people are doing it, if they're innocently doing it, is because they made the mouth wide enough so that it almost looks like it's still two ways. But it's a bad situation where you can end up having a head-on collision. It's just not the way that they intended. And I don't know if they're aware of what's going on, because it would require for them to have personnel out there observing how the intersection is being used. And people are definitely blowing past this do not enter sign and driving in a pattern that was in place a few years ago.
No, thank you for that feedback. Okay. I'm gonna take a note. So I'll talk with Dante about that. And so we'll definitely have a conversation, and maybe we'll see if we can even do a site visit where we can have people come and see if we can invite the transportation committee so you can tell them directly as well. Okay.
Just as you were replying, Fred, sorry, my internet connection went out and I lost a little bit at the beginning before Jeff's question. Do you mind just doing a one sentence summary of your reply, I guess, when I asked that question?
Oh, hadn't done it. I was saying I was going to talk to Dante, schedule a meeting with DDC, and send the letter where you guys are CC'd. Jeff made his comment saying, yeah, the situation has changed and it's still not satisfactory. So letter's still going. Try and see if we can get a site visit with DDC and see if we can do it with the transportation committee. So that way you can tell them directly what's going on here.
So I will note, I did through the community construction liaison, I did a phone call with that person and the head of, I don't know, concrete pouring, or like one of the heads of DDC.
Okay.
We had a three-way call and I explained it to them and they totally understood, separate from Jeff's concern. The original concern was the cars just parking on the sidewalk that they've just now poured. They understood the concern and they were like, we just need someone to tell us to do it because it's not in the contract that was already allocated, like the funds were allocated.
Right.
Wasn't in the plan. So they needed a letter from us, which is why we voted on it. They need that letter to move ahead. I think what Jeff's comment is is also very much valid. That do not enter sign has been there for several years. The cars are still just blowing past it. So
Now, is it just a DDC concern or is that a DOT thing at this point?
I mean, it's a DDC project. They kind of work it hand in hand, but it's a DDC project.
I think that's, part of the problem, Fred, is that if DDC has erred in their design, when they hand it over to DOT, DOT is going to struggle to enforce something that is flawed in its design. So, I mean, they need to hash that out between DOT and DDC, but they need to be made aware that that mouth entering Lincoln, it's not really discouraging people. There's, in essence, driving up the wrong way on a one-way street for
Yeah.
that short little stretch.
Right.
And, in defense of a driver who says, hey, I didn't even see that one do not enter sign, well, put up two, because the more expensive fix would be to narrow that opening even more. And maybe they didn't want to do that because it would impede the flow of traffic too much. Well, if that's the reason, then you definitely need, and I've seen this in many places, you have two large do not enter signs.
Right, that makes sense.
There are two right now, though, Jeff.
I've only seen one. The
Okay.
second one is on the side by the gas station.
There's one by the gas. I'm right now just looking at a street view from Google Maps from October of 2022, unless they took it down.
I'm-
Well, the other
I'm-
issue is if it's set too far back. If it's set too far back, then people are gonna say, no, I can go up to the sign and make the left.
Yeah,
So maybe that's part of what has to happen. Those signs need to come further up so that way they know.
that could be it. Yeah, that could be it
Yeah.
also.
And just to my untrained eye, I think that's an easy fix. Just move the signs, move them up further so that way they're in the way and people know, don't go past them.
Right.
But I'll talk to Dante tomorrow. We'll get the letters out and we'll see if we can schedule something where we can actually get a live body to come here and see what they can do for us. But and I'll try and see if we can do that as a site visit. So we'll make it open to the transportation committee to come and speak to them and Paco and Jeff, speak to what interactions you've had so far.
All right.
Thank you.
No, thank you. Okay. All right. So we have no old business. We have no old business at this time. Is there any new business for the transportation committee? Oh, I'm sorry.
Well,
I
for
did
me,
see.
this is,
Oh, I'm sorry. Hold on one
Sorry.
second. I did see Mr. Leary had his
Okay.
hand up a while ago. I do want to recognize him and then we'll move on. Mr. O'Leary, I'm sorry. We'll recognize you at this time. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. I was just I have a similar complaint to the one that Paco raised about the gas station parking on the sidewalk, but this one's on New York and Parkside, and I believe they're both BP stations. So I was wondering if you were going to send a letter regarding that, if you could kind of like loop them together, group them together.
New York and Parkside. If you
New
could
York and
do-
right by the DSNY, the sanitation is a BP gas station as well.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, and they're parking on the sidewalk?
And it's the same thing as what Paco described up. Yeah, you don't know what's sidewalk and what's parking lot.
Understood. If you could, if I could ask if you could do this, if you could send an email to the district office, this way we can actually file a complaint with 311 and make sure we can get follow-up on that.
To which district office?
Yeah, so it'll be the CB9 office. It's BK09-1 at cb.nyc.gov.
Yeah, okay, cool. Because I just like if you're going to start talking to like I don't know, like area supervisors for BP or something, if you could just kind of roll, you know what I mean? Couple
Yeah.
those, get
No,
them
no,
both dealt
definitely.
with.
No, absolutely. And thanks for letting us know about that as well. So we'll look for the email and we'll be able to move from the office will move from there.
Some
Okay.
of that parking is actually sanitation, but some of their personal vehicles, by the way. Just so you know.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah, they've
Well,
gotten sanitation, and they've gotten an official, unofficial green light internally to park on the sidewalk. If you look at their station, the entire brick wall is wrapped with personal vehicles. and their solution was to park as close to the side to the building as possible, but they're still parking on the sidewalk 100%. And they're saying they don't have capacity because I don't know. They're saying everyone's allowed to, that they need to accommodate for everyone's driving there from wherever, and that the facility has outgrown the amount of trucks it has and the number of people working there now. It's a larger population, I guess, in CB9 than it used to be. So they're at capacity. They were looking for other ideas, but they're parking on the sidewalk, and then that spillover is going across the street to the gas station as well.
Got it.
So I'm sure the gas station's probably a culprit in it too, but every gas station's, just because it's BP, they're also franchised. It may be a totally different owner.
Could be, right.
Yeah, I was speaking just specifically about the gas station. I know that sanitation thing is its own thing, but I'm talking about like crossing in front of the gas station. It's in and out to the gas station free for all, and parking, people vacuuming their cars. Yeah.
Okay. No, we can definitely look into that.
But the sanitation thing is a thing too, for sure.
Got it. Okay. All right. So new business for Lise. I'm sorry I cut you off before.
Okay, I really don't know how to approach this. I take the bus to work now since my agency has relocated to Brooklyn, and the 41 bus is the one that I use. I spoke to you about this before, and I really don't know how to approach this. And I was almost witness to 2 accidents going towards Empire Boulevard, the 41 bus. And it's on the corner there of Prospect Park. Is that, I guess you call it a little neck, where the bus either hits that corner or almost hits a car, or they may get a flat. And it's all because of that little extension. And I don't even know if anything can be done about it, but you know, the bus drivers are certainly raising hell about it.
So you're saying the buses are hitting the neck down?
Yes, they're on the corner where Prospect Park is. Prospect, you know, the that little neck where they have the bikes, on the sidewalk, on the side where they made room for them.
Okay.
You know, it's near Grand Army Plaza, Prospect Park.
Felice, you're talking about right across the street from the library?
Right.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay. So you're saying that when the bus comes around Grand Army Plaza and it's pulling into, it's hitting the edge, that's not really a neck down, that's an island. That's an island that they built for,
for pedestrians?
Yeah, for people to wait for the bus. Because you have the bike lane on the side closest to the sidewalk, right?
Correct.
And then you have that island where you wait for the bus, and then you have the traffic lane. So you're saying that the bus is clipping the edge of that as they come around.
That is correct. That is correct. And I was a witness to it twice. And they almost had an accident with another car because, you know, if cars are not familiar with the bus extending themselves to get away from that curve, you know, the cars and the bus almost collides. And it also almost collides with the other lane. So I don't know who designed that, but it wasn't a good fix.
Okay, that is definitely something we can bring up, and that's part of the thing that, you know, definitely when, you know, again, they're going to be bringing the bus design network conversation to the district, so it's absolutely something we can bring up there. I'm trying to envision it. I'm not sure if it's a matter of the system functioning as designed. Yeah, I'm not sure, but we'll definitely have an opportunity for that conversation. I think even that piece right there is just slightly outside of the district, though. Because we only go up to about Washington. Yeah, because we don't come down to Flatbush on that end.
Okay, where Grand Army Plaza is in Prospect Park.
Yeah, that's technically not the board. Although I make land grabs every once in a while. But you know, listen, but still something we can address. We will have an opportunity. We can address. We can look at that.
Okay, that'll be great. Thank you.
Okay. No, thank you for bringing it to our attention. Okay. Is there any other new business for the committee? Okay, hearing none. Listen, I want to thank everyone for all the work you do. I really appreciate it. I know there's a couple of items that I know that we feel that we're behind on, and we're going to do our best to make sure we get up to speed and get the engagement we're supposed to have from all the relative agencies. So the communications that we requested, I'll make sure the Transportation Committee is CC'd on those as well. And hopefully we're going to see some progress coming over the next few months. So I expect it to pick up. We're going to be picking up the tempo. But again, thank you for everything you do. Thanks for all the work you put in and all the knowledge and expertise that you've been doing for a while for CB9. All right. And with that, I will at this time entertain a motion to adjourn.
Submit a motion to adjourn.
Okay, I heard motion to adjourn. Mr. Granum, do I have a second?
Oh, yeah, you got it. Elise
Okay,
Robertson.
Elisa Robertson. Are there any objections? Hearing none, the Transportation Committee stands adjourned. Time is now 8:17 p.m. Everyone, thank you very much. Have a happy new year. Best to you and all your families and loved ones. Good night now.
All right, take care. Good night.
Good night. Good night, everyone.
Thanks.